Talking to you a little bit about subs right now and using your subs, no matter where you're using a sub. The sub extends our low frequency content of the music that we're reproducing, playing back, what have you. So we want an extended range of low end to be able to hear the very bottom of a kick drum, to hear a bass guitar, the very throttle of it, the synthesizers, low frequency. Therefore, those instruments that I just named, I prefer to use my subs on an aux. Now, that's the way I control them from the console. There's some, I've heard many times using the left-right of your output mix going to the sub cabinets, depending on how the engineer has set up the system. I prefer that the subs see a separate send, as I mentioned earlier. Therefore, I'm only sending content to those subs that have sub-frequency content. And that would be bass guitar, kick drum, synthesizer very possibly, and then anything else that I may think of that could use that range to go into that range. But mostly, as I said, it's going to be a bass guitar, kick drum, and synthesizers. Now, once I balance this out, I'm looking for an extended frequency range. So as I was just pointing out, wherever we're crossed over, generally we see 100 cycles, but sometimes a little bit lower. It depends on the engineer himself, how he's chosen for his crossover point of the subs. I want to extend my frequency response. I want to extend that a little bit more. So anytime I apply from the console low end or anything below 100 cycles, especially what's hitting my sub, I would want that to go to the sub independently. The excursion of the woofers in the subsystem, no matter what the subsystem is, I just believe in reducing the amount of energy that goes to them. They're capable of low frequency excursions to wild proportions, but still, I don't want my vocals going there. I don't want any chance of any other ambient mics going into the subs, simply because I think this result will give me a clearer sounding low end. Sometimes when we solo the subs and we listen to them, it's just unrecognizable music until it's blended in with the higher frequencies of the high boxes. So what really the point I want to get across, I think a lot of times when concerts, especially in arenas and stadiums, we want to add that excitement of a higher low frequency balance, and that's fine and dandy. I have no problem with that. I like lots of low end in the result of my mix that I'm delivering to the audience, but I want the low frequency content that's going to the subs. That will determine how loud those subs are. Now, we have to do a balancing in there. We can talk about this in depth again at another time. But primarily, I think what I'm trying to say is that I want to add sub content from the console. It's not take my left-right mix and just send that to the subs and turn the subs up, and when we hear them we go great, then we turn them up a little bit louder so that we get more excitement, and some turn it up even louder than that. I think if you poll a lot of people that listen to sound but have no knowledge of audio on the technical side, probably would readily agree that there's plenty of low end. When we control that overall frequency response that is extended, that fills the requirements. It doesn't have to be exaggerated. So it's a very common point that I see a lot of times in concerts, and we'll have another session on the sub bass issue and how and where they have worked for me. Some like to use subs on an aux and only apply them when they need the subs. I agree with this. I think this is this is an exciting way to dynamically work your mix throughout the show. One song has certain musical instruments that fall in the sub-range category, and we would turn them up to emphasize them at the console. And when it's at the console, well, it's going to reach the system in its overall frequency response in a more natural way. You'll find that any recordings you make off the console will also sound more low frequency content because you're applying it from the console. So it's that's a good one we want to talk about, recording the shows and finding the benefit from that. It's a highly debatable subject, but I'm glad to talk about that in some of the upcoming videos. So thank you for checking this out. I'd be excited to hear your comments and how I can improve this. And we'll eventually have more graphics and illustrations and people joining me on these sessions on YouTube. Thank you very much for your time.